Welcome to the Stephanie G Show. I am your host, Stephanie G, and the show is all about informing, inspiring, and educating you to live at your fullest and highest potential. On today's episode, I'm going to be sitting down and speaking with Pastor Jason King. He is the director of this phenomenal organization called Family First Marriage Enhancement. On today's episode, we're going to be tackling the topic of marriage. Now, marriage is not always filled with romance and bliss, and at times it can be filled with some misunderstandings and frustration. Well, on today's episode, we're going to be sitting down and speaking about real life marriage situations and help give you some tips and tools on how to make it through those difficult times together.
The Stephanie G Show. Welcome to the Stephanie G Show. Stephanie, do your thing, girl. Come on.
This is our celebration. Celebration is our mind. Celebration.
Pastor Jason King.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you doing today?
I am doing well, doing well.
Awesome. It's just such an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my privilege to be here. Thank you.
You have an organization, a company called Family First Marriage Enhancement.
Correct.
Yep, I love the name. I love the title. It speaks volumes. So I just want you to let the people know, what is your organization about?
It's about marriage enhancement. It's my passion, to help families and couples, and so it's just about marriage enhancement. I offer pre- and post-marital counseling. My wife and I, we facilitate marriage workshops and retreats, and I also do wedding officiating.
So you're the person that say, do you accept this guy to be your awfully wedded? I said, awfully. Oh my God. Well, that's why we have this show.
It's not
to
that
bring
bad.
attention to
Right,
the issues in marriage and how society perceives it. Well, I'm going to ask you this question. I know we want people that are searching and seeking for their soulmate, their one.
Okay.
Now, I know there's a lot of perceptions of, going out there and seeking. And my perception, or what I believe, is that, the seeking and the searching has to start like with you first.
Okay.
So you have to, discover who you are. And how I feel and believe is that everything else will align and, and connect once you know who you are and what you bring to the table.
Okay.
I would love your opinion and your information or insight on that.
Well, I love what you're saying. One needs to know their purpose first, who they are first. Because let's say I have a purpose to be a missionary. I need to know that. And the person that I'm dating or may choose to date needs to know that as well. They also need to know who they are. So at the beginning, I need to know who I am, and the potential candidate for marriage, they need to know who they are as well. Because if I want to be a missionary and you want to stay home, then there's going to be trouble in the marriage. So it's very important to know who you are, have conversations. We look at the movies and they give us a perception. Everybody looking into each other's eyes and love at first sight, but then you have the after the marriage stuff. So you don't want to bring unresolved issues, things like that into the marriage. So it's very important to know who you are, know what you want. A lot of people get married, but they don't have the conversation. Sometimes they don't have the conversations because we were just dating, we fell in love, then we'll work this out. And even from the church side, we just gonna pray. And that's not enough tools. to actually have a good marriage. So it's very important for people to know who they are, their purpose, and also the purpose of the person that they're considering marrying. And you know what? You can say no in the dating process. We can say, this is not going to work out. And we have to learn how to, be careful with the feelings and getting our feelings all in with someone we don't know.
Good answer. Now, you did touch bases on how society's perception on marriage, and I definitely feel that it's definitely like off the mark.
Right.
How society, what you view on TV, and I feel that if you don't have like a solid structure, marriage structure or foundation around you, it kind of gives you the wrong perception of it and approach to marriage.
Yes.
Why do you think society perception of marriage is so misconstrued? Why do you think that?
Well, there are a few things. One, we have the wrong examples, and we, TV is very powerful, and TV sways almost everything.
Yes.
If the government or whoever wants you to believe something, they'll put it on TV and have the TV, continue to run it. And we see a lot of things. You got to think about the reality shows that are pushed in front of us, and and we choose to watch them, and we get those perceptions, and they are unhealthy relationships. Most of them are relationships where people are not married, and some of those relationships where people are married, they disrespect their marriages, and then they also end up in divorce a lot. And what we have to understand is marriage is covenant, not contract.
Wow.
It's covenant, not contract. A contract says that, if we're going to come together, I have a part and you have a part. If you don't do your part, then this thing is null and void. But the covenant says that I'm going to stick with you even when you don't do your part. And I'm going to trust God that everything's going to work out. So on TV, a lot of times you have that example of, you're not happy, I'm not happy, we're not happy. Okay, and we're just going to go our separate ways. And, we have to be careful, because even with divorce and separation, there's a lot of bleeding that happens in that. There's a lot of hurt. You have children separated, families separated, okay, and then you go off, you get remarried. Now we got to get used to somebody else who I really don't like. So there's a lot of things to it. And I saw a sign, I see this sign around all the time. Divorce, $149.
Yes, I've seen like signs like that. Yeah, in commercials.
Yeah, and and I said it shouldn't be that easy. It shouldn't be that easy. We also have the issue of the single family home, and so there are not enough positive marriages or positive role models to look at to see how to model the marriage. And so if we got a lot of single parent homes, and I didn't see marriage. And so I don't understand what it's supposed to be. I may not think that it's even important because I didn't see it modeled, in front of me. So, it's good, for those who are married, who have a positive marriage. I've been married for 15 years, my lovely wife, Rhonda King. I'm so thankful for her. How long you been married?
Yes.
I ask a lot of the older couples that, and I like to hear that 25 years, 30 years, because it gives us, it's hope.
Yeah, it really does. When you hear somebody that says,
It's hope.
50 years, 25 years marriage, like, how did you do it? Like, you
Right.
understand, get tips and stuff. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree.
So those are role models. Those are people who can show us that, hey, it can work, you can make it. But our society is a microwave society. It's not working now. If it's not good now, then I'm done with it. And we have to learn how to stick with it a little longer. All of us have to learn.
You touch a little basis on the romance. After you get through the romance, the feelings of the marriage, now it's time to get to the work. And I feel that a lot of people don't understand that marriage takes a lot of work.
It does.
To make marriage work, you have to put in the work. Can you elaborate?
Well, I think sometimes we do have a false image, and sometimes people give off a false image. Even I guess in the church and the world as well. I remember first getting married, and you see all these books, 12 steps to a happy marriage, and 5 steps to this, and everybody's smiling on the book cover. Okay, everybody's having a good time. Then you get in your marriage, and you say, well, what's wrong with us? When you start going through challenges. And I think we need to be properly educated that it's work. Okay, the wedding part of it is easy. It's usually less than an hour. You know, the whole ceremony part of it, you know, but you're going to have to live after it. And here's one of the things that we don't do. We don't get enough education on what marriage is, how it works. I think we need to learn how to be educated about the opposite sex. Okay, like for women example, a lot of men will say, well, my wife likes to talk. You know, my wife talks. She actually needs to talk, okay, to express herself. You know, most women need to talk and express themselves. You know, and when I'm educated on opposite sex, then I won't shut my wife down, knowing that she needs to talk. And also she doesn't need solutions all the time. Now, we as men are fixers. And so that's why we always offer solutions until we get educated enough to know, you know what, I just need to listen. And we're going to have to hold it in. Because what we want to say is, well, this is what you need to do. Yeah. This, and that. And also the wife has to understand, my husband is a fixer. It's natural. Okay, I don't want him to fix this. I just want him to hear me. But it's natural in him to do that. So when we get educated about the opposite sex, have a good understanding about who our spouse is, then, you know, we can understand these things. You know, I get off from work, I'm tired, you know, and the first thing, you know, you come to the door, my wife wants to tell me A, B, C, D. Okay, I have to have an understanding that she wants to talk. Okay, in another side of it, she may have to have an understanding that give me an hour to wind down. Okay, I will talk to you, I will listen to you, but anything, just give me an hour to wind down. Some men are like that. So you have to learn your spouse. You have to study your spouse, you know, and also the opposite sex. And I think that helps it makes a great difference in marriage, knowing just some of the tools. Now, if you go to your job or whatever, you have different courses, different certificates, different degrees, all so you can do that job. Why don't we put the time in the studying about marriage? Why won't we watch a YouTube video? Why won't they watch this video over and over and over again to get the information to help? So you're going to get out what you put in. What are we putting in our marriages? Are we reading the books that are out there? Because we can watch TV, you know, all day long, but can we for 30 minutes or so just read a chapter of a book, you know, during the week that will help our marriage? So a lot of the work, I believe, is missing. We got to put in some work. We have to put in some study to better understand.
And I like that. I love that you made mention and you made note on the study part, because a lot of time when you hear the word work, you automatically think just to spend time, just to listen, but not researching, using, you know, like learning and studying, taking out that book, like you said, or that YouTube video. I love that you mentioned that. Those are some great tools. One thing I wanted to ask is that I know when you're married, you both are two imperfect people, you know, and you're just in this progress or in this journey to become better, right? When can you say that our expectations for each other are like unrealistic? When is that the case?
You know, sometimes it's the case at the beginning, okay? Because you have two different people coming together. And a lot of times we have to learn how to, you know, okay, let's say the wedding ceremony, okay? A lot of times you put those two candles together and you blow it out. And now it's one. So some of the things that I'm used to, I'm going to have to wash that out. Some of the things she's used to, she's going to have to wash that out. And we're going to have to make this thing work together. We're going to have to create new expectations for us, because she's going to bring her life story into it, how her mom did it, how her dad did it. He's going to bring how his mom or his dad did it, or who he saw did it. And it can be an unrealistic expectation to expect your wife to do something that your mom did, but that's not who she is. So we have to talk about who we are. You know, what is it that, you know, we do? And couples need to learn how to make their own rules. Okay, this worked for mom and dad, and it worked. They're still married. That's great, but it may not work for us. Here's where the conversation has to come in. Here's where the communication has to come in. And here we are getting educated right now that what worked for them may not work for us. And now I can have a conversation with my spouse and set realistic expectations, because, the husband might expect the wife to be superwoman, okay? And, she has to cook, clean, and she works too, okay? And so you have to come in and say, well, what's realistic? Okay, what's realistic? I know one thing I told my wife is a caterer, excellent chef. She can make just about anything, So for our home, because I'm not a cook, I'm gonna cook the basics, single man stuff to get by. I would prefer to buy something. We're gonna stop someplace on the way home. Yeah. That's me. But when she cooks, we got 7 days in a week. So one thing we talked about is, all right, cooking enough for 2 days. So there's not cooking every day. So it's little things like that that help, ease that tension and about expectations.
Okay. Now, Pastor King, you touch bases on marriage as a unit, teamwork. Mm-hmm. What I wanted to dive deep into is the individuality of being in the marriage. Mm-hmm. How marriage help redefine our help a person grow to become a better person. Yes. As a team. I'd love to hear your insight on that.
Well, we have to realize, one, that our spouse is a gift, and we don't recognize that sometimes. If we operate in pride or selfishness, we kind of feel like we have it all together and don't realize and accept the gift that God has given us in someone else. Now, most of the time, I wouldn't say most of the times, but a lot of times I have seen that spouses are usually opposites. Then we got this opposite attract type thing.
You see that a lot.
I believe I remember I was to a big marriage conference one time, and they asked, about, who, if you felt you were opposite of your spouse. Almost the whole room raised their hand. Almost the whole room, Mm-hmm. And you say, well, why do you feel like, I'm attracted to an opposite, or in some cases that, God led me to be, connected to someone that's not like me. And we have to understand, going back to your question, it's to help make me a better me. Okay? If I'm not good at finances, and God blessed me with someone who is good at finances, I just got better. Yes. And a lot of times we don't realize that I wrote an article a while ago called Trading Me, for Us. And a lot of times we have to learn how to stop competing with our spouse and understand that we complement one another. Mm-hmm. Okay? Most restaurants in the world, you got salt and pepper on the table. Two totally different seasonings, but they complement each other on a meal. Mm-hmm. And the husband and wife have to learn, that, hey, we're going to complement one another. If you got someone that's impatient, you got a person with a lot of patience. Yeah. Yes. In the marriage. And we have to learn, that, hey, my spouse is a gift, not to look down. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't cook like that, but my wife is a chef. Okay, so I'm thankful, that I have someone to prepare a meal, for me and for the family, because it was up to me. We'd be in trouble, we're gonna eat, but it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good, Okay. And so, somebody's gonna watch this, and you know what? A lot of times, Stephanie, we feel like, I wish my spouse would be more like me. Oh. And a lot of times we do that. You should do this like me. You should do that like me. Not realizing that they have qualities that you are not good in. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now you deal with sandpaper. Sandpaper's rough, but it makes the surface it gets on smooth and better. So both of you are really actually sandpaper rubbing on each other.
Sandpaper rubbing.
Making each other, You think about it. God gives you an in-house person to help develop you.
Yes.
In some type of way, right. Okay? Yeah, you get developed better in patience, and you get better in certain things, because of your spouse. For me, example, when I met my wife, as far as, formal dressing, I wasn't the best person. Now, the casual sneakers, jeans, polo shirt type stuff, I can do that all day long. Yeah. But as far as, where I am now and, suits and ties and all that stuff, I just was not, I wasn't in that arena. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know how to do it. God knows from the beginning of time that He's going to call me to be a minister. Okay, and to go places where I'm gonna have to present myself a certain way. He gives me someone to help me get to where I'm going.
Yes.
Okay, and a lot of us don't understand that. That God gave me someone to help me get to where I'm going, and vice versa. It's not just, oh, I'm just helping you and I brought you up. There's also, hey, that person is helping me as well. And we have to learn how to stop competing. I need you to be more like me. No, I need you to be more like me. And understand that, hey, we're in this thing together. We're making each other better, and we're better together.
Let love be your guide.
Okay.
Now, that quote in marriage, how do you have some tips and tools for a husband or a wife on how to use that quote to the fullest when your emotions are high, when you're hurt, when you're upset?
Well, firstly, you have to come down, from that. You have to be wise, and how we deal with each other, how we operate, especially if there's, disagreements and, things that we need to resolve. I always talk about timing, and tone, so, when we have some conflict in the house, I need to be mindful of the timing when I approach you. If one of us just had a hard day at work, and then the kids are making a lot of noise, and there's obvious aggravation and irritation going on. That may not be the right time to approach you about this unresolved issue. That may not be wise at all. And then also I like to talk about tone as well. Because we have to have a calm tone. Especially when there's an issue. Some conflicts, and we can't come yelling at each other. Okay, and that's why it's wise to love your spouse enough. It's wise to come down. I'm not ready for this. And some couples need to understand. That you're gonna talk to me. Such and such happened. You're gonna talk to me. And it doesn't work like that all the time. You have to be wise. Now, you can't ignore the issue either. Okay, so sometimes it's wise, and to operate in love to say, well, look, right now not the time. 2 hours after the house settles or whatever, then we can talk about it. Okay, so some people will avoid the issue, and that's not good. Just for the peace of things. Avoid it, but avoidance doesn't give conflict resolution.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to learn how to do that. We got to love. A lot of times, Stephanie, we don't look at the person before the conflict. Hold up, wasn't everything okay 2 weeks ago? Or last week?
Yeah.
And we allow this one conflict to blow up and make it look like we don't love each other. We can't sit down and learn how to resolve things. And that's one of the things we have to learn. Selfishness, again, I'm coming back to that because it's a big thing. It will stop you. Well, if you don't want to talk about it when I want to talk about it, and see that word I again?
Yeah.
Then, we ain't not going to talk about it. And you can't resolve anything. And then the other person feels disrespected. And where that selfishness comes in, and the Bible talks about it, 1 Corinthians 13, love is not selfish. So you talk about love. Love is not selfish. Okay? When someone is selfish, the other person's going to feel disrespected. I can't say what I want to say. I can't do what I want to do. Why am I in this marriage? It's just all about you. So we have to be careful, with that. Love is a powerful word, but a lot of times we operate off the eros love, the sensual love. Okay, we operate off of that love, the love that that we were attracted to looks and things of that nature, but we forget about the agape love, the in spite of love. In spite of how I feel, we're still married, we're still in covenant, and I love you. I'll sleep on it, we'll be all right again tomorrow. Okay, and so we have to also learn how to love enough to forgive. Some people, just like to stay angry. I got this on you, I'm going to keep this on you. And, the satisfaction of being right, oh man, we will sacrifice the peace of marriage to be right.
And then it's like, what's the point? What is the point? Who wins?
Who wins?
We both lose.
We lost.
Yes.
You know, you might have think that you won, but we just lost.
Yes.
Okay, if anybody, you know, is familiar with sports, you know, you got that person sometimes goes out and scores 40-something points, but the team lost.
So that 40-something points really don't mean nothing
Was
at
in
all.
vain.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of one person winning, so winning the argument, but we lost? And so we have to be careful to value one another enough and to, you know, to love the way that we're supposed to love. And that's the agape love. You know, the unconditional love. You may be mad yesterday, but I'm going to wake up, wipe the slate clean, and we're going to start over. And many times, Stephanie, we don't do that. We hold the resentment, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, and we have to learn how to clean our hearts so we can love again. You know, somebody's going to watch this and, you know, and they're struggling with that right now. Resentment, bitterness, unforgiveness, and it's blocking the love. Where true love is, you can work out anything.
And it plays a part on your perception. Like, for instance, like I have like friends or family that comes and talks about, oh, this person, my significant other is this, my significant other is that, does this, does that. Everything is all negative. And when you're on the opposite ear hearing that, you're thinking like, well, is there any positive? Is there any good that they do? And elaborate and touch bases on what we focus on as well when we're looking at our significant other, when we're in disagreements, or when we're not seeing eye to eye, not to focus on just the bad, you know, the bad this person does.
Well, we have to learn how to look at the big picture.
Yes.
Okay. You had a bad week. Let's say you had a bad month, but you've been married for 10 years. So you're gonna throw away 9 years and 11 months
For a bad.
over one bad month.
Yes.
You focused on the bad month and not the whole of it. And that's, you know, that's really, you know, what the enemy tries to do, get you to focus on all the stuff that's going wrong, because those are the things that stand out the most. What's not happening, what I don't like. And by nature, sometimes we can be negative people. You know, what I don't like, what's not happening, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that. And we focus in. And Bishop Jakes talks about that 80-20 rule.
Oh yeah,
You know?
we've all heard that.
Yeah,
Yes.
nobody's gonna give you 100%, you know, of 100% of what you want. You know, and we have to be thankful, you know, and stop focusing on, well, I don't have, you know, this 20%, and be thankful. Okay, you know, love can have its way when we learn to be thankful, you know, for what we do have.
Yes.
Love can
Being
really have its
yes.
way. We learn to be thankful, you know. So
Yes.
there's issues that everybody has.
Of course.
You know, I don't like this, I don't like that. You know, but you have to be thankful. You know, let's just be thankful that someone stayed with you this long in the first place. let's just start with that.
Okay.
Okay, you know, because everyone has, you know, little issues and little things, you know, and we all bring some type of issues to the matter. Nobody is 100% wonderful, 100% great. Everybody brings some baggage is a little heavier than others, but everybody brings something to the table. So we have to learn how to stop focusing on what we don't have and start focusing on what we do have. And for somebody's gonna watch this, you know, and they're gonna think about that, you know, I've been focusing on what, you know, he didn't do this, complaining. And listen, a lot of times we focus on what our spouse isn't doing or is doing, and then we forgot that we aren't so great all the time either.
Yes.
So that person that's talking is saying, well, you know, he's not doing this, she's not doing that, but they never see what they're not doing and what they're doing as well, you know. So nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And we have to learn how to start focusing on the right thing, because if you don't, you know, you're in danger of breaking the covenant. Breaking the covenant over little things that can be ironed out.
I love that. And throughout this whole conversation, I heard the word timing is all in your right timing, your tone of voice. We heard communication, selflessness. Now, I want to go back to communication.
Okay.
Now, everybody always throw that around. It seems so simple. But for the couple who are just having a hard time on how to communicate, where can you give them not all of the tools, but like the starting point on how to communicate better?
You know, for positive communication, you can't be thinking about what you're going to say back
Yes, okay.
while the person is talking. You're not receiving. You're not trying to understand. You know, a part of communication is also understanding. Okay, what you feel, why you're saying it. You know, because many people, when communication, are focused on their point of view, how they feel about it, but don't take time to understand what it is that you're saying and how you feel. So we can talk about it all, but is there an understanding? You know, and many times during talking, you say, well, do you understand? You know, I want you to feel what I'm saying or feel what I felt when this happened. And that's also a big part as well. Now, I do this one exercise about communication, and when our tone is wrong, you know, the other person gets on defense. Okay? The wall comes up, okay? And so we have to learn. So, you know, this is impromptu, where we do a little karate exercise, okay? So I'm gonna come at you, you know, and I want you to block it, okay? And so the guy comes home or whatever, you know, he comes home, you know, and the kids' toys are on the floor or whatever, and you know, he comes on and he's, you know, I'm coming at you, Steph, so I want you to block me, okay? What's going on in here? You know, what's all this stuff doing on the floor? You know, when you come in the wrong tone, you haven't even asked what happened, okay? Then your spouse gets defensive.
Yes.
And then the object of the communication is to reach you in your ear and get to your spirit. But if you blocked it because of my tone or my timing, then you're never going to receive it, okay? If we name call, you know, our spouses, you know, here goes the wall.
Yes.
Nobody's going to respond to being disrespected by name calling. Okay, you know, you're stupid, you're dumb, you don't know what you're doing, you know, you can't fix anything. Those type of things make your spouse put up a wall. Okay, so love doesn't communicate like that. Love has an open conversation. You know, there's a way to say what you don't like or what's going on without emasculating the guy. Okay, because if you want to see a guy shut down, you know, emasculate him, make him feel like he's less than a man. You know, even if a woman makes more money or has more education, he's still the man. He's still the head, and so you have to make him feel that way. You know, and if you don't, there goes the wall.
I love that you talked about respect for the women towards the guy and masculine, you know, the testosterone and stuff, not to, you know, belittle them or put them down. I want to ask this question on the flip side of that. Now, society have this perception on guys, like they can't be emotionally vulnerable. So they're always guarded, or they have to pull up this facade. And I believe, like in marriage, it's hard to connect and reach each other when, on both ends, when a guy has, like, I can't really show you who I really am or be emotionally vulnerable with you because I have to look tough. I have to hold this together.
Very good.
What is your insight on that? How can we change that or sway that in a marriage?
Well, right now, we're being educated. Education is a big thing, you know. Now, some guys feel, you know, it may come from their father or their uncle, that is weak to show emotion or to say that you don't have it all together. And it's absolutely not. It's actually strong, you know, to say I need help. And guys, we have to learn how to let go of that pride, you know, when we need help. Very important for a man to know that, hey, my wife is my helpmate. Okay, and so I don't have to do all of this by myself. I don't have to carry the burden by myself. I have a wonderful helpmate that if I would open up to her, you know, she would be able to help me in certain things. Now, let's deal with these things when the guy opens up. He wants his wife, you know, to understand, you know, but not to mother him. Okay, he doesn't want to be mothered. Oh, baby, oh. He doesn't want that. Okay, if I'm opening up to you, you know, my mother already raised me. I just, you know, however we agree, you know, for you to console me, that's good. But don't mother him, because I'll make him shut right back down. And women have to understand. Okay, you want your man to open up. Are you a safe place?
That's really good.
Are you a
That is so
safe
true.
place for him to open up? You know, so when he does open up, or if he does cry about a certain issue, when all the guys are over at the family reunion, are you going to bring up how he wasn't strong enough, you know, and that issue? Immediate shutdown,
Yes.
and that could be years worth of shutdown.
Yes.
Okay, you know, a man doesn't want to be embarrassed, you know, in that type of way. So I would say to the women that are trying to get their guys to open up, okay, to, you know, just let him know that you're there. I'm here for you. You don't have to carry it by yourself. Do not nag him into opening up. Let him know you're there. You know, love him, you know. And most guys, you know, we talk about the man cave thing. You know, most guys go to that man cave to process. How am I going to fix this? How am I going to fix that? For some guys, you know, not my issue, but it might be the video games. Some guys it's the gym. Some guys it's the TV. But it's that they, you know, they need, you know, we need that time just ourselves sometimes, just to process. You know, we're thinking about problems, how we're going to handle things, but we're not going to be in there forever. Okay, give us a minute. Don't come storming in it. We'll come out. When we come out, then we'll be able to talk. Once you get a man talking, okay, if you got a man that's going to talk to you, it's very, very critical that, you know, that woman listens. Listen, don't try to fix him, don't try to mother him, but listens to him and his situation, you know. So I'm used to ministering two-sided.
Yes.
So let me flip it a
Let's
little
flip
bit.
it, yep,
Okay.
okay.
You know, because that man also, woman's one of her number one need is security. Okay, and that's why you get a lot of women will be what men will say they are insecure because they're not secure about, you know, what's going on. That's one of her number one needs. You know, security, to feel like, you know, I'm okay, and to be loved. Okay. The woman needs to be loved. She needs to be not just told it, but shown it as well. Okay, and he has to let her know. Here it is, that she is number one, above all. Okay, above your mama that calls here every day. That's not good. She needs to be number one. You know, and he needs to show her that that she's number one. Very important. Love is an action word. What are you doing to show me that you love me? You have to show that action. What's one of the man's number one need? Respect. Rarely will you hear a man say she don't love. Okay, when you pour respect in the funnel for the man, it comes out as love.
Wow.
That's how we receive love, by being respected. We don't need to hear I love you all the time. You know, we don't need it, you know, not saying that we don't want it,
Yeah.
but as much as the woman, we don't need it. When you respect us and do the things, you have to find out how your man feels respected.
Time. Now, in today's society, we have work, we have children. It's hard to make time for each other. Why is it so important, like, to take that time to make time, you know, with each other?
Because, you know, the marriage is about us and our spirits connecting and us connecting. And if we allow work, school, the kids, the business, extracurricular activities, we start, our spirits and the oneness of us start pulling apart. You can be under the same roof, but the oneness of us, you know, start, you know, and the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone, you know, and we're supposed to be connecting to one another. So it's important, you know, many women like quality time, not all, you know, because we all have different love languages, but hey, we didn't get married to be separated. Okay? I also think it's important for people to understand seasons of marriage. And I think, you know, many times we don't have a proper understanding of those seasons. You have the seasons sometimes where there's no children. So, we go out 3 nights a week. You know, we spend a lot of time together, we're laughing, we're joking, and then Junior is born.
And that
Okay?
takes away from
That
that.
takes away from that time. And then the second child or the third child is born. Then someone's going to school, and that takes away from that time. Now, listen, it's very important to communicate. Okay, because we need to communicate about what it is we're doing. And there has to be some understanding there. That, okay, our season and our marriage has changed, so there's going to be less time. If we're going to accomplish these goals together, then it may be a little less time. Okay, so our season changed from the beginning of our marriage when we didn't have any children to now we're in the place where we have 3 children and jobs and businesses. Our seasons changed. So we can't say, well, oh, we don't spend time together like we did in the beginning. Well, your seasons change. You have to learn how to adjust.
Yes, adjust to it. Yes.
You have to learn how to be flexible.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you stop spending time together, but now you're going to have to find some different ways to maybe do it,
Yes.
some creative ways. And listen, you're going to have to schedule it.
Yes, I agree.
Let's sync our calendars. Okay, on this day, at this time, do not accept anything.
Yes.
Do not go anywhere. This is our time. And
Yep.
this is what we're going to do. So you also have to be proactive in just scheduling time to be together as well.
That is a great answer, and I know that's going to help a lot of people. Now I have to ask you, why did you get into this, Pastor King, this field?
I'm just passionate about family. I wrote a book, Balancing Your Blended Family, and it's about, couples that come together and they have children from a previous relationship. So I wrote a book about that. It's just something that God put inside of me. All of us have our own different gifts, and things that God put inside us. So I'm just very, very passionate about family. Ultimately, when the family gets better, the community gets better.
That is so true.
The church gets better. The state gets better. And the world gets better.
Yeah, so that is like, family is like the foundation.
It is the foundation of our nation. Okay? And now you look at things going on in the world, it is the attack against the family.
Yes.
Which is the foundation of our nation.
So if you disrupt the family, it seems like you said, everything else just falls apart and breaks down. So we have to get back to the name of your organization.
Yes.
Family First.
Family First.
Yes.
Family First. Marriage Enhancement.
Yes.
And some people think that the counseling portion of it is bad. And it's not. Or if we have to go to counseling, it means that we have a bad marriage. And it's a false pretense out there about counseling. If you need help, why not get the help?
Yes.
If there's help out there to be gotten. There are some things you can work out on your own. You can put a Band-Aid over it to heal up, you can take the Band-Aid off. But if you have a gunshot wound, okay, you need to go to the emergency room.
Yes.
You don't need to be so prideful and say, well, I'm just going to sit here and bleed out, or I'm just going to sit here and it's not
Try to fix it yourself.
This ain't the movies where you can pour alcohol and try to stitch up yourself. You need to go to the emergency room.
Yes.
Okay, and couples need to know when you get in an emergency situation, sometimes you got to check into the ER. And it's better that you check in to the ER, lose your pride, but save your marriage and save your family. So it's very, very important. One thing also, Stephanie, that I have seen a lot is, sometimes I have a counseling session, or people have counseling sessions, and you get a great breakthrough in the first session, but you don't go to the follow-up appointments, And I don't push this on on my clients, but I recommend it. I said, listen, this is a great breakthrough. I recommend that you schedule however you feel, 2 weeks away, 1 week away. I don't push it. I'm a salesman. I want to help, but that's up to them. And a lot of times when you don't do the follow-up, you kind of get back into that thing, and it might be
routine.
worse than the first, So, we have to learn that when we do it, you schedule a couple of sessions, and it's better that way.
And take the time and work the process. Just like you said, we're in
It's a
this
process.
microwave society. Just take your time and work the process. It'll pay off.
I think that depending on what you schedule, how much ever you spend on a few sessions of marriage counseling is the benefits way outweigh the costs and mental and physical ramifications of separating. Why not spend for a session what we're gonna spend out to eat to better, our marriage, to better the union, that we can get there. And hey, everybody has little issues. Everyone has little wrecks or things, but it can be restored.
Yes.
It can be restored.
Thank you so much for this interview, Pastor Keith.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me. Delighted to be on your
and
show.
Definitely have to bring you back on for like touch bases on other topics as well.
Please do.
Well, tell the people where they can get in contact with you and how.
Okay, our email address is familyfme@gmail.com. That's familyfme@gmail.com. Also, they can reach out to me on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Family First Marriage Enhancement LLC. Family First Marriage Enhancement LLC. And our phone number is 843-501-1775. My Facebook page has some pictures of some weddings that I've done. You know, on there it has some information and pricing about counseling. You know, and you know the days that that I do it as well. So you know you can contact me.